I was cutting my birthday cake when the doorbell rang. My husband Gerald stood up with this strange look on his face, half nervous, half excited. He cleared his throat and said the words that would change my life forever. "Honey, I need to introduce you to some people. People who are very important to me. People I should have told you about 30 years ago." I stood there holding the knife. The cake was chocolate, my favorite. Gerald had gotten it from the fancy bakery downtown, the one that costs $50 for a small cake. He had planned this whole birthday dinner, just the two of us. Quiet, romantic. Our kids were grown, living their own lives. So it was just us. Like it had been for 32 years of marriage. But now there were people at the door. People he should have told me about 30 years ago. My stomach dropped. My hands started shaking. I put the knife down before I dropped it. What people? He walked to the front door, opened it, and in walked a woman. Maybe 50 years old, dark hair, pretty. Behind her were two men, both in their late 20s. They had Gerald's eyes, his nose, his smile. I knew immediately what this was, who they were, what this meant. My husband had a whole other family, a secret family, for 30 years, maybe longer. And he chose my birthday, my 60th birthday, to tell me. The woman stepped forward, held out her hand. Her voice was soft, apologetic. "Hi, I'm Maria, and these are my sons, Carlos and Miguel. I'm so sorry, I didn't want to do this," but Gerald insisted. He said it was time, that he couldn't keep us a secret anymore. I looked at Gerald, at my husband of 32 years, at the man I thought I knew, at the man who apparently had a whole other life I knew nothing about. He couldn't meet my eyes, just stared at the floor like a child who got caught stealing candy. Something snapped inside me, but it wasn't what you'd expect. I didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't throw things. Instead, I smiled, a big, bright smile. And I said the last thing anyone expected. "Well, come in, let's all have some cake. There's plenty to go around." Gerald's head snapped up, looked at me like I had lost my mind. Maria looked confused. The sons looked at each other. Nobody moved. I said, "Come in. It's my birthday. We're celebrating. And apparently we have a lot to talk about. So let's eat cake and talk like adults." I walked back to the table, cut 5 slices of cake, put them on plates, set them around the table, gestured for everyone to sit. They did, slowly, carefully, like they were waiting for me to explode. But I didn't. I just sat down, took a bite of my cake, and waited. Gerald spoke first. His voice was shaking. "Diane, I can explain. I'm sure you can. But first, let's get to know each other. Maria, how long have you and Gerald been together?" 31 years. 31 years. 1 year before Gerald and I got married, which meant he was with her first. Or at the same time. Either way, he had been lying for our entire marriage. "And the boys? They're your sons?" "Yes. Carlos is 29. Miguel is 27. So you were pregnant when Gerald and I got married?" Maria looked down, nodded. "Yes. Did you know about me when you got pregnant?" "Yes. Gerald told me he was engaged to you, that the wedding was planned, that he couldn't back out. His family expected it. Your family expected it. It was too late to change anything, but not too late to keep seeing you. Not too late to have 2 more children with you." She didn't answer, just kept looking down at her untouched cake. The sons were silent, just watching this unfold, probably wishing they were anywhere else. I didn't blame them. This wasn't their fault. They didn't ask to be born into this mess. I turned to Gerald. My voice was still calm, still smiling, but inside I was calculating, planning, figuring out my next move. "So, let me make sure I understand. You've been married to me for 32 years, but you've been with Maria for 31 years. You have 2 sons with her, and you've kept this secret our entire marriage. Is that correct? Yes. And our kids? Daniel and Sarah? Do they know they have half-brothers? No. Nobody knows. Just Maria and the boys. And now you. Why now? Why tell me now? On my birthday of all days? He looked at Maria. She looked at him. Some kind of silent communication passed between them. Then Gerald spoke. Because Maria has cancer. Stage 4. The doctors say she has maybe 6 months. And before she dies, she wants to meet you. Wants you to know about the boys. Wants to make sure they have family after she's gone. There it was. The real reason. Not guilt, not conscience. Not love or respect for me. But because his mistress was dying and wanted to tie up loose ends. Wanted to make sure her sons would be taken care of. And Gerald, being the coward he was, thought the best way to do this was to spring it on me at my birthday dinner. I looked at Maria. Really looked at her. She was thin. Too thin. Her skin had that gray color sick people get. Her eyes were tired. Sad. She knew she was dying, and she was scared for her sons. Scared they would be alone. Scared Gerald would abandon them like he apparently abandoned responsibility his whole life. Something shifted in me. I was angry at Gerald. Furious, betrayed. Hurt beyond words. But Maria? The boys? They were victims too. Maria fell in love with a man who lied to her. Who promised her things he couldn't deliver. Who kept her hidden like a dirty secret for 30 years. The boys grew up without a father they could acknowledge. Without siblings they could know. Without a life that wasn't built on lies. So I made a decision. A decision that would shock everyone. A decision that would change everything. I looked at Maria. Spoke directly to her. Ignoring Gerald completely. How long have you been sick? About a year. We tried treatment. Chemo, radiation, everything. But it's too aggressive. It's in my liver. My lungs. My bones. There's nothing more they can do. And the boys, do they have anyone else? Family? Support? My parents are dead. I have a sister in Mexico, but we don't speak. It's just us. Just me and them. And Gerald when he can visit, which is how often. She looked at Gerald. He shifted in his seat. Once a week. Sometimes twice. Once a week. For 31 years. He had been living a double life. 1 week with me. Playing husband and father to Daniel and Sarah. Then sneaking away to play husband and father to Carlos and Miguel. How did I not know? How did I miss this? How was I so blind? I thought about all the times Gerald said he had to work late. All the weekend business trips. All the times he said he was playing golf or going to the gym or meeting old friends. All lies. All excuses to go be with his other family. His real family. Because let's be honest, if he spent 31 years with them, they were just as real as us. Maybe more. I stood up. Everyone tensed, waiting for the explosion, for the screaming, for me to kick them out. But I didn't. Instead, I looked at Gerald and said something that made his face go white. Get out. What? You heard me. Get out of this house. Pack a bag, leave your key. Get out. Diane, please. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain. You've been lying to me for 32 years. You brought your mistress and your secret children to my house on my birthday. You thought you could just drop this bomb and we'd all figure it out together. Well, we will figure it out. But you won't be here for it. Get out. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Go to a hotel. Go to a friend's house. Go sleep in your car. I don't care. But you're not staying here. He stood up, opened his mouth to argue, saw the look on my face and closed it. He knew I was serious. He walked upstairs. I heard him opening drawers, packing. 10 minutes later, he came down with a suitcase. Stopped at the door. Diane. Go. He left. The door closed behind him, and then it was just me, Maria, and the boys, sitting at my dining room table, with my birthday cake growing stale between us. Carlos spoke first. His voice was quiet, unsure. We should go too. This isn't right. We shouldn't have come. No, stay. We need to talk. Ma'am, we're so sorry. We didn't want this. Our mom didn't want this. But our father insisted. He said it was time. That you deserve to know. Your father is a coward. But that's not your fault. None of this is your fault. Maria was crying, silent tears running down her thin face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I loved him. I still love him. And I thought he loved me, thought he would leave you eventually, thought we would be a real family. But he never did. And now I'm dying. And my boys will be alone, and I don't know what to do. I handed her a tissue, poured her some water, let her cry, let her get it all out. The boys sat there looking miserable. This was a nightmare for them. Finding out their father was a liar, meeting their father's wife, watching their mother break down, all on some stranger's 60th birthday. When Maria finally stopped crying, I asked her something that had been bothering me. Did Gerald support you? Financially? Sometimes, when he could, he gave me money for rent, for the boys, for groceries, but it wasn't much. He said he couldn't give more without you noticing. So I worked. 2 jobs most of the time. Cleaned houses during the day, waited tables at night. The boys helped when they got old enough. We made it work. So Gerald got to play happy family with you once a week. Got to be the fun dad who showed up with presents and smiles, while you did all the actual work, all the sacrifice. Just like I did. We were both doing all the work while he got all the benefits. I never thought of it that way. But yes, that's exactly what happened. And now he wants me to what? Take care of his sons after you're gone? Be the family they never had? Make up for 30 years of his lies and abandonment? He didn't say that exactly. But yes, I think that's what he's hoping for. I looked at Carlos and Miguel. They were both staring at their cake, embarrassed, ashamed. Not of themselves, but of their father. Of this situation, of everything. Carlos, Miguel. Look at me. They did. Both had Gerald's eyes, brown with little gold flecks. The same eyes Daniel had. The same eyes Sarah had. They were family, like it or not. They were my husband's sons, my children's half-brothers. My responsibility whether I wanted it or not. None of this is your fault. You understand that, right? Carlos nodded. Miguel spoke. We know, but we still feel terrible. We never wanted to hurt you. Never wanted any of this. We begged our mom not to come here, not to tell you. But she insisted. Said it was important. That you needed to know before she died. She was right. I did need to know. Better late than never. Even if it is 30 years too late. I stood up, started clearing the cake plates. Maria tried to help, but I waved her off. You're sick. Sit down. Rest. Let me clean up. Then we're going to figure this out. Together. Without Gerald. Because clearly he's been useless for 30 years. No reason to start relying on him now. They stayed for another 2 hours. We talked. Really talked. I learned about Maria's life. How she met Gerald at a restaurant where she worked. How he wooed her with promises and charm. How she got pregnant and he begged her to keep the baby. Promised he would leave me eventually. Promised they would be together. But then the wedding got closer and he said he couldn't back out. His parents would disown him. My parents would be devastated. So many people had already paid for things. The venue was booked. The flowers were ordered. It was too complicated. So Maria agreed to wait. To be patient. To let him marry me and then divorce me after a respectable amount of time. A year, maybe. 2 at most. But then I got pregnant with Daniel. And Gerald said he couldn't leave a pregnant wife. So Maria waited. And then Sarah was born 2 years after Daniel. And Gerald said he couldn't leave 2 small children. So Maria waited again, And then Carlos was born. Maria's first son, Gerald's second son, born just 3 months after Daniel, which meant Gerald was sleeping with both of us at the same time, getting both of us pregnant practically simultaneously, living two completely separate lives in the same city without either of us knowing. I never suspected, never once. I thought I had a good marriage. Sure, Gerald worked a lot, traveled for business, had late meetings, weekend golf games, but he was a good provider. Paid the bills, showed up for the kids' important events, was there for holidays and birthdays. I thought I was lucky, thought I had found one of the good ones. What a joke. What a complete and total joke. I had spent 32 years married to a lie, to a man who was never really mine, to someone who was giving half of himself to me and half to someone else. And I got the worse half. The half that came home tired, the half that was distracted, the half that was always thinking about someone else. Maria got his excitement, his passion, his attention. I got his obligation, his duty, his guilt. She was the woman he chose. I was the woman he was stuck with. And somehow we both ended up losing, because neither of us got all of him. Neither of us got the truth. Neither of us got a real relationship. Carlos told me about growing up, how his father would visit once or twice a week, always at night, always for a few hours. He'd bring pizza or take out, play video games with them, help with homework, then disappear again. They never went out in public together, never went to parks or movies or restaurants. Everything was hidden, secret, shameful. Miguel was quieter than his brother, but when he finally spoke, his words cut deep. We used to. Ask Mom why our dad couldn't live with us, why he couldn't come to our school events, why we couldn't tell anyone about him. She'd make excuses, say he was busy with work, that he traveled a lot, that he loved us but had complicated obligations. We believed her. We were kids. What else could we do? But then we got older, started figuring things out, saw him wearing a wedding ring, heard him on the phone talking to someone about things that didn't match our life. We confronted Mom, asked her if Dad was married to someone else, if we were a secret, and she broke down, told us everything, told us about you, about Daniel and Sarah, about the house we'd never see and the life we'd never be part of. How old were you? 15. Carlos was 17. We were so angry at Dad, at Mom for lying, at you for existing even though you didn't do anything wrong, at ourselves for not figuring it out sooner. We stopped seeing Dad for a while, refused his visits, his money, his excuses. But then Mom got sick, and she asked us to forgive him, to let him back in, because he was still our father, and she didn't want us to lose both parents. So we did. We forgave him, or at least pretended to. Let him come around again. Let him play father when it was convenient, but it's never been the same. We know what he is, what he did, to her, to you, to all of us. And we can't respect that, can't respect him. I looked at these two young men, sons I never knew existed, brothers my children never knew they had, and I felt something unexpected. Not anger at them, not resentment, but connection. Because we were the same. All of us. Maria, Carlos, Miguel, me, Daniel, Sarah. We were all victims of the same man. All betrayed by the same lies. All hurt by the same selfishness. I made a decision in that moment. One that would surprise everyone. One that would change all our lives. I looked at Maria and spoke words I never thought I'd say to my husband's mistress. You're not dying alone. And your sons aren't going to be abandoned. I won't let that happen. Maria's eyes filled with tears. What do you mean? I mean you're going to stay here, in this house, with me, for however long you have left. And Carlos and Miguel are going to know they're half-siblings, and we're all going to figure this out together. Because Gerald screwed all of us. And the only way we survive this is if we stick together. We can't. That's too much. You don't owe us anything. You're right, I don't, but I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because I'm tired of Gerald controlling everything. I'm tired of his lies defining our lives. I'm tired of being the victim. So I'm taking control. And that means we all get to know each other. Get to be the family Gerald never let us be. On our terms, not his. Carlos spoke up. What about our dad? Where does he fit in this? He doesn't. Not right now. Maybe not ever. He created this mess. Let him figure out how to live with the consequences. Over the next few days, I did exactly what I said. I moved Maria into the guest room, set it up with everything she needed: comfortable bed, TV, easy access to the bathroom. Carlos and Miguel brought over her things: her clothes, her photos, her medicine, everything that made her feel at home. Then I called my kids, Daniel and Sarah, told them they needed to come over, that I had something important to tell them. They came that evening, together, walking through the door laughing about something. They stopped when they saw Maria sitting on my couch. Stopped again when they saw Carlos and Miguel in the kitchen. Mom, what's going on? Where's Dad? Your father isn't here, and there's something you need to know. Something that's going to change everything you thought you knew about our family, I told them. Everything. About Maria, about the affair, about their brothers, about 30 years of lies. I watched their faces change. Confusion, shock, disbelief, anger, pain, all the emotions I had felt days earlier, all the feelings I knew they would have, Sarah cried. Daniel punched the wall, left a hole in the drywall. Then he left, just walked out without a word. Sarah followed him. I let them go. Let them process. Let them feel whatever they needed to feel. This was a lot. Too much. I couldn't expect them to just accept it, to just be okay with it. But I also knew they'd come back. Because that's what family does. Even when things are broken, even when trust is shattered, even when everything falls apart, family comes back. Eventually, Sarah came back that night, sat in the kitchen while I made tea. She didn't say anything for a long time, just sat there. Finally, she spoke. Did you know? Any of it? No. I had no idea. How could he do this? How could he lie for so long? To everyone. I don't know. I've been asking myself the same thing. Are you okay? No. But I will be. We all will be. Why did you let her move in? Why didn't you throw her out? Throw all of them out? Because she's dying. And because her sons are your brothers. And because we're all victims of the same lies. And because I refuse to let your father's choices destroy any more lives than they already have, I don't know if I can forgive him. You don't have to. Not now. Maybe not ever. That's your choice. Do you forgive him? No. I don't know if I ever will, but I'm not going to let him ruin my life anymore. I'm not going to waste whatever years I have left being angry and bitter. So I'm choosing something different. I'm choosing to build something new out of this mess. And I hope you'll be part of it. She nodded, sipped her tea. Then she asked me something that broke my heart. Do you still love him? I don't know. I love the man I thought he was, but that man never existed. So I don't know what I feel anymore. Betrayed, angry, sad, lost. But love? I don't think so. Not anymore. Daniel took longer to come around. 3 days. He showed up at the house looking exhausted. Like he hadn't slept. He probably hadn't. This kind of revelation keeps you up at night. Makes you question everything. Every memory. Every moment. Every belief about your life and family. He walked in, saw Maria on the couch reading. She had gotten weaker in just those 3 days. The cancer was moving fast, stealing her energy, her strength, her time. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he spoke. I'm Daniel. I know. I've seen photos of you. Your father talks about you all the time. He's very proud of you. He shouldn't be. He doesn't have the right to be proud. He wasn't really there. Was he? No. He was with us. With my sons. Your brothers. Half the time. Maybe more. Daniel turned to me. Where is he? I don't know. Hotel probably. I told him to leave. Haven't heard from him since. Good. I don't want to see him. Don't want to hear his excuses. Don't want his apology. He doesn't get to fix this. There is no fixing this. I know. Then why is she here? Why are you helping her? She's the reason our family is destroyed. No. Your father is the reason. She's a victim too, just like us, just like her sons, just like all of us. Your father did this, not her. He was quiet for a long time. Then Carlos and Miguel walked in from the backyard where they had been giving Daniel space. The three brothers looked at each other, sizing each other up, seeing themselves in each other's faces. Same eyes, same nose, same jawline, undeniable family resemblance. Miguel spoke first, extended his hand. I'm Miguel. This is Carlos. We know this is weird. We know you probably hate us. But we didn't ask for any of this. We didn't know about you until we were teenagers. And we're as angry as you are. Daniel looked at the hand. For a second, I thought he would ignore it, walk away, leave. But then he shook it, shook Carlos's hand too, and said something that made me proud. This isn't your fault. It's our father's. And I'm not going to let his choices make me hate people. I know. So let's start over. I'm Daniel. They talked. The three brothers. For hours. About their lives. Their childhoods. The things they had in common. The things that were different. The memories they should have shared but didn't. The relationship they should have had but were denied. And slowly, something started to form. Not friendship exactly. Not yet, but connection, understanding, the beginning of something real. Sarah came over the next day, met her brothers. She was softer than Daniel, less angry, more open. She hugged Carlos and Miguel, told them she was sorry for what they went through, sorry they had to hide, sorry their father was such a coward, and they hugged her back, grateful, relieved, happy to finally have a sister they could acknowledge. Over the next 2 weeks, we became a strange kind of family. Me, my kids, their kids, and Maria. We had dinners together, watched movies together, talked late into the night about everything and nothing. And slowly, the awkwardness faded, the tension eased. The anger transformed into something else. Not forgiveness, but acceptance, understanding, solidarity. Maria got sicker. The pain got worse. She needed more help, more medicine, more care. Sarah and I took turns sitting with her, helping her to the bathroom, making sure she ate, making sure she was comfortable. The boys were there every day, reading to her, holding her hand, being present in a way Gerald never was. Gerald tried to come back, called constantly, texted, showed up at the door a few times. But I wouldn't let him in. Neither would the kids. He had made his choice. He had prioritized his comfort over everyone else's truth for 30 years. He didn't get to waltz back in now and play the hero, play the concerned husband and father. He had lost that right. One night, about 3 weeks after the birthday revelation, Maria called me into her room. She was very weak, could barely speak above a whisper, but her eyes were clear, focused. She had something she needed to say. Diane, thank you. For everything. For taking me in. For not hating me. For loving my sons when you had every reason not to. I don't hate you, Maria. I never did. You were lied to, just like I was. Still, you didn't have to do this. Didn't have to be kind. You could have been bitter, angry, and no one would have blamed you. Maybe. But that wouldn't have helped anyone, wouldn't have made me feel better, wouldn't have changed anything. So I chose something different. I chose to be the person Gerald never could be. Honest, Present. Real. My boys. They love you. They told me. They said you've been more of a parent to them in 3 weeks than Gerald was in 29 years. And they're right. You have been. And I'm grateful. So grateful. They're good kids, Maria. You raised them well. Against all odds. With no support. You did that. Be proud of yourself. She started crying, weak tears rolling down her thin face. I'm scared. Scared to die. Scared to leave them. Scared they'll be alone. They won't be alone. I promise you that. They have Daniel and Sarah. They have me. They have a family now. A real family. They'll be okay. Will you take care of them? After I'm gone? Will you make sure they're okay? Yes, I promise. They're part of this family now. And family takes care of each other. She closed her eyes, relief washing over her face. Thank you. Thank you for giving me peace. For letting me go, knowing they'll be loved. Maria died 2 days later, quietly, in her sleep, surrounded by all of us. Me, Daniel, Sarah, Carlos, and Miguel. We were all there, all holding her hands, all telling her it was okay to let go, that we would take care of each other, that her sons would be loved, that she could rest. Gerald showed up at the funeral, tried to sit in the front row, tried to play the grieving widower even though he was never her husband, never gave her that honor, never made it official. The boys told him to sit in the back, told him he didn't belong up front, that he hadn't earned that right, he argued. Made a scene. Security had to escort him out. After the funeral, we all went back to my house. Our house. Because that's what it had become. Not just mine anymore, but ours. All of ours. Carlos and Miguel had moved in after Maria died. Sarah too. Daniel came over every day. We were figuring it out. This strange blended family. This group of people connected by Gerald's lies but choosing to stay connected by our own choice. 1 month after Maria's death, Gerald showed up again. This time I let him in, let him sit down, let him speak, not because I forgave him, not because I wanted him back, but because we needed closure, needed to figure out what came next. How to move forward, what the future looked like. He looked terrible, had lost weight, looked older, tired, broken. Good, he deserved to suffer. Deserved to feel even a fraction of the pain he caused everyone else. He started to apologize, to make excuses, to explain. I held up my hand, stopped him. I don't want to hear it. I don't want your apologies or your excuses. I just want to know one thing. Why? Why did you do this? Why didn't you just choose? Why string us all along for 30 years? He was quiet for a long time. Then he said something that was probably the most honest thing he ever said to me, because I was a coward. I wanted everything. Wanted you, because you were safe, stable, what my family expected. And I wanted Maria because she was exciting, different. What I chose for myself. And I thought I could have both. Thought I could balance both lives without anyone getting hurt. But I was wrong. I hurt everyone. And I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. Doesn't change anything. But I am sorry. You destroyed lives, Gerald. Not just mine. Not just Maria's. But our children. All 5 of them. You stole their childhoods. Their innocence. Their ability to trust. You took everything from everyone and gave nothing in return except lies. I know. So what now? What do you want? I want my family back. I want to fix this. Want to make it right. You can't. It's too late. Too broken. Too much damage. You don't get to fix this. You don't get a happy ending. You don't get forgiveness. So what then? I just live alone? Die alone? Never see my kids again? That's up to them, not me. If Daniel and Sarah and Carlos and Miguel want a relationship with you, that's their choice. But me? I'm done. I want a divorce. I want you out of my life. I want to move forward without you." His face crumbled. "Please, don't do this. I love you." "No, you don't. You never did. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. Wouldn't have lied for 30 years. Wouldn't have betrayed me every single day of our marriage. You loved what I represented. You loved the life I gave you. But you never loved me. Not really." "That's not true." "Yes, it is. And deep down, you know it. So let's stop pretending. Let's stop lying. Let's end this with whatever dignity we have left. Sign the divorce papers. Let me go. Let all of us go. Let us heal without you." "And what about the boys? Carlos and Miguel? What about them? They're my sons. I have rights. You have no rights. You gave those up when you abandoned them for 29 years. When you made them hide. When you treated them like a secret instead of like sons. They're adults now. They get to choose. And right now, they choose not to have you in their lives. So respect that. Give them space. Let them heal." He started to argue, to fight. But then he looked around. Saw photos on my mantle that weren't there before. Photos of Carlos and Miguel. Photos of all 5 kids together. Photos of me and Maria before she died. Photos of our new family, the one we built without him. The one that was stronger than anything he ever gave us. And he realized he had lost. Not just me. Not just Maria, but everyone, his entire family, both families, all because he couldn't be honest. Couldn't be brave. Couldn't choose. He left. Signed the divorce papers 2 weeks later. Didn't fight me on anything. Gave me everything. The house, the savings, the retirement, all of it. Maybe out of guilt. Maybe out of acceptance. Maybe out of some twisted sense of justice. I didn't care. I took it all. Used it to take care of the kids. All 5 of them. Carlos and Miguel stayed with me for 6 months after Maria died. Then they got an apartment together. Close by. Walking distance. They came over for dinner 3 times a week. More, if they needed to. They had jobs, lives, friends. But they always came back, always stayed connected, always part of the family. Daniel and Sarah forgave me eventually. Forgave me for letting Maria in, for not being angrier, for choosing compassion over bitterness. They understood why I did it, why we all needed each other, why family meant more than biology. Meant showing up, being present, choosing each other every single day. It's been 5 years now since that birthday. Since the revelation that changed everything. Gerald tried to reach out a few times. To the kids, to me. But we all kept our distance, not out of hate, but out of self-preservation, out of respect for our own healing, out of understanding that some relationships can't be fixed, shouldn't be fixed, need to stay broken so everyone can move forward. I'm 65 now, retired. Living in the house that used to be mine and Gerald's, but is now just mine. And sometimes the kids. And sometimes just a gathering place for our strange, beautiful, broken, healed family. Last month was Carlos's 30th birthday. We had a party. All of us. Daniel, Sarah, Miguel, their partners, their kids, my grandchildren, who call Carlos and Miguel uncle without a second thought, without any asterisk, without any qualifier. Just uncle. Just family. We ate cake. The same chocolate cake from that birthday 5 years ago. The same fancy bakery. But this time it tasted different, sweeter, earned, real. We laughed, told stories, took photos, made memories, and I realized something. Gerald's lies could have destroyed us, should have destroyed us. Could have left us all bitter and broken and alone. But instead, they brought us together, forced us to see each other, to choose each other, to build something real out of something false. Maria used to say that God works in mysterious ways, that even bad things can lead to good. I didn't believe her then, thought she was just making excuses. trying to justify staying with a man who would never fully be hers. But now I understand. Now I see what she meant. Gerald's betrayal was terrible, unforgivable, devastating. But it also gave me 4 more people to love, gave my kids 2 more siblings, gave all of us a bigger family, a stronger family, a family that chose each other instead of being stuck with each other. So when people ask me how I survived it, how I'm not bitter, how I managed to smile when my husband brought his secret family to my birthday dinner, I tell them the truth. I survived because I chose to. I'm not bitter because bitterness would have destroyed me. And I smiled because I realized something important. Gerald didn't win. He lost everything. And we won. We got each other. We got love. We got family. Real family. The kind you build, not the kind you're born into. And that's worth more than any 32-year marriage built on lies. Worth more than any perfect image. Worth more than any comfortable life. Worth everything. So yes, on my 60th birthday, my husband brought the family he had hidden for 30 years. And yes, I smiled. Because I knew something he didn't. That his lies would set us all free. That his worst betrayal would become our greatest gift. That sometimes the thing that breaks you is exactly what you needed to become whole. But the journey wasn't as simple as I've made it sound. There were hard days. Really hard days. Days when I questioned everything I'd done. Days when I wondered if I was insane for letting Maria move in, for embracing Carlos and Miguel, for trying to build something from Gerald's wreckage. About 3 months after Maria died, I had a complete breakdown. It hit me all at once. The betrayal, the lies, the wasted years. 32 years of my life given to a man who was never fully mine. 32 years of believing in something that was fundamentally false. I felt like a fool. Like the biggest idiot in the world. Sarah found me in the bathroom at 2 a.m, sitting on the floor, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. She sat down next to me, held me, let me fall apart, didn't try to fix it, just held me. When I finally calmed down, she asked me a question. Mom, do you regret it? Taking them in? Building this family? I thought about it, really thought about it. Did I regret it? Part of me did. Part of me wished I'd kicked everyone out that night, divorced Gerald immediately. Moved on with my life without the complication of his secret children, without the responsibility of his dying mistress, without any of it. But another part of me knew the truth. If I'd done that, I would have been alone, bitter, angry, consumed by resentment. And Carlos and Miguel would have been alone too, grieving their mother with no family, no support, no connection to their siblings. We all would have suffered separately when we could have healed together. No, I told Sarah. I don't regret it. It's hard. It's messy. It's not what I would have chosen, but it's right. For all of us. She hugged me tighter. You're the strongest person I know, Mom. And I'm proud to be your daughter. That helped. More than she knew. Because I didn't feel strong most of the time. I felt broken, damaged, like someone had taken my life and shattered it into a million pieces, and I was just trying to glue it back together in some shape that made sense. But maybe that's what strength is. Not being unbreakable, but breaking and choosing to rebuild anyway. Choosing to create something new instead of mourning what was lost. The holidays that first year were strange. Thanksgiving was the first big test. Do we invite Gerald? Do we pretend he doesn't exist? Do we split up and have separate celebrations? None of those options felt right. So, we made a new tradition. Thanksgiving at my house, just the 5 kids and me. No Gerald, no partners or significant others yet, just us. The family Gerald created through lies, but that we were choosing to keep through love. Carlos cooked. He'd learned from Maria. Made her recipes, her stuffing, her tamales alongside the traditional turkey. Miguel helped. Daniel and Sarah set the table. I supervised and tried not to cry every 5 minutes. Because this was beautiful. Painful, but beautiful. Exactly what Maria had wanted. Her sons integrated into a family, not hidden, not ashamed, just part of something bigger. Before we ate, Sarah suggested we go around the table and say what we were grateful for. It felt cliché, Hallmark movie stuff, but we did it anyway. Daniel went first. I'm grateful for second chances. For getting to know brothers I didn't know I had. For this weird, messy family. Sarah was next. I'm grateful for Mom. For showing us what grace looks like. What forgiveness looks like. Even when it's hard. Miguel's voice shook. I'm grateful to not be alone. To have siblings who don't hate me. To have a family that chose me. Carlos looked at me. I'm grateful for Diane. For being the mother we needed when we lost ours. For loving us when you had every reason not to. Then it was my turn. I looked around the table. At these 4 people who were linked by biology but bonded by choice. At this family built from betrayal and loss. At this beautiful, broken, healing thing we'd created. I'm grateful for all of you, for choosing to be here, for choosing each other. For choosing love over anger. For proving that family is more than blood. It's commitment. It's showing up. It's holding each other through the hard parts. We all cried. Even Daniel, who hated crying. Even Miguel, who usually kept his emotions hidden. We cried and hugged and made toasts with cheap wine and ate too much food. And it was perfect. Messy and imperfect and exactly right. Christmas was harder. Because Christmas had traditions. Traditions Gerald had been part of. Traditions that felt broken now. So we created new ones. We did a secret Santa exchange. We watched cheesy Christmas movies. We baked cookies using both my mother's recipes and Maria's. We blended the 2 families into something new. Carlos gave me a photo album he'd made. Pictures of Maria from throughout her life. Pictures I'd never seen. Pictures of her as a young woman, before Gerald, before the lies, before the cancer. She'd been beautiful, full of life, full of hope. And in the later pictures, I could see the sadness in her eyes, the weight of carrying a secret for 30 years, the burden of loving someone who would never fully be hers. She wanted you to have these, Carlos said. Near the end, she talked about you a lot. Said she wished she'd met you sooner. Wished things had been different. Wished you could have been friends. I cried over those photos. Mourned the friendship Maria and I never got to have. Mourned the years we wasted being rivals when we should have been allies. 2 women betrayed by the same man. We could have helped each other. Supported each other. Instead, we'd been kept apart by lies. But we'd found our way to each other in the end. Those last weeks with Maria, we had talked. Really talked. Woman to woman. Not as rivals. But as 2 people who'd loved the same flawed man and paid the price for it. She'd told me things about Gerald I never knew. That he talked in his sleep. That he was afraid of birds. That he cried during sad movies but tried to hide it. Little things. Human things. Things that made him real instead of just the villain in our story. And I'd told her things too. About our early years. About how Gerald used to bring me flowers every Friday. About the trip to Italy we'd taken for our 10th anniversary. About the good times, before I knew they were only half times. We'd given each other the full picture of Gerald, not the compartmentalized versions he'd shown each of us, but the whole man. Flawed and human and capable of both love and terrible betrayal. As the 2nd year approached, something unexpected happened. Gerald started going to therapy. I found out from Daniel, who'd reluctantly agreed to have coffee with his father after months of silence. He's different, Mom, Daniel said. Still Dad, but broken, humbled. He knows he screwed up, knows he lost everything, and he's actually trying to deal with it instead of making excuses. I didn't know what to do with that information. Part of me was glad Gerald was getting help. Part of me didn't care. Part of me was angry that it took losing everything for him to finally face his issues. But I didn't have to do anything with it. Gerald's healing was his responsibility, not mine. I'd spent enough years taking responsibility for his emotions, for his comfort, for his happiness. I was done with that. He could figure himself out on his own. The kids, though, slowly started rebuilding relationships with him. Not me-level relationships, not come-over-for-dinner relationships, but occasional coffee, strained phone calls, supervised meetings, baby steps towards something that might one day resemble forgiveness. Carlos and Miguel took the longest, which made sense. Gerald had abandoned them more thoroughly than Daniel and Sarah, had made them hide their entire lives, had never claimed them publicly, never put their names on his emergency contacts or his insurance paperwork, never acknowledged them as his sons in any official capacity. I don't know if I can ever really forgive him, Miguel told me one night. We were sitting on the porch, just the two of us, the rest of the family inside watching a movie. But Mom wanted us to. Her last words to me were, "Don't hate your father." So, I'm trying. For her. You don't have to forgive him, I said. Not for her. Not for anyone. That's your choice. Your decision. And whatever you decide is okay. Do you forgive him? It was a question I'd been asking myself for 2 years. Did I forgive Gerald? I'd said I didn't. Said I never would. But was that true? Or was I just holding on to anger because it felt safer than letting it go? I don't know, I admitted. Some days I think I have. Some days the anger comes back. I think maybe forgiveness isn't a one-time thing. It's something you choose over and over. And some days I choose it, and some days I don't. That's honest. I appreciate that. We sat in comfortable silence. This relationship with Miguel and Carlos had become one of the most unexpected blessings of this whole mess. These two men, who I'd never met 3 years ago, were now essential parts of my life. They called me when they had problems, asked my advice about jobs and relationships and life, treated me like a mother because I'd chosen to be one to them. And I loved them. Not the same way I loved Daniel and Sarah. Different, but just as real, just as deep. They were my sons now. Not by birth, but by choice. And that made it even more meaningful. Year 3 brought more changes. Daniel got engaged to his longtime girlfriend, Emma. Not the ironic name choice, just coincidence. The wedding planning began, and a question arose that I'd been dreading. Would Gerald walk her down the aisle? Would he be invited at all? Daniel and Emma came to me to discuss it. Mom, we want to invite Dad, but only if you're okay with it, and only if he agrees to behave. No making it about him, no causing drama, just quietly attending. I took a deep breath. This was Daniel's wedding, not mine, not Gerald's, Daniel's. And Daniel deserved to have his father there if that's what he wanted. My feelings didn't get to dictate his choices. Invite him, I said. But I won't be sitting with him. Won't be pretending we're a happy divorced couple. I'll be polite, civil, but that's it. That's all we're asking. The wedding was beautiful. Daniel and Emma were radiant. Sarah was the maid of honor. Carlos and Miguel were groomsmen, standing right alongside Daniel's college friends. It was a public declaration. These are my brothers. All of them. No more secrets. No more hiding. Gerald sat in the back, alone. I saw him watching his sons, all 3 of them. Saw the regret on his face, the loss, the understanding of everything he'd thrown away. Good. He should regret it, should feel the weight of his choices, should understand that actions have consequences. But I also felt something unexpected. Pity. Just a small amount. Because Gerald was alone, truly alone. While the rest of us had each other, had this beautiful blended family, Gerald had nothing. He'd been invited to the wedding as a courtesy, Not because anyone wanted him there, not because he'd earned it, but because Daniel was generous enough to include him. After the ceremony, Gerald approached me. First time we'd spoken in over a year. "Diane, you look beautiful. Thank you. I'm proud of what you've done. With the kids, with Carlos and Miguel, Maria would be grateful. I didn't do it for gratitude. I know. You did it because you're a better person than I ever was, than I ever will be." I looked at him, really looked at him. He'd aged, more gray hair, deeper lines around his eyes, the weight of guilt written on his face. "Gerald, I hope you find peace. I really do. But you won't find it with me. You won't find it with any of us. You have to find it yourself. I know. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying. I'm working on myself, going to therapy, facing what I did. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just want you to know I'm trying to be better." "Good. Keep trying. Maybe someday you'll get there." He nodded, started to walk away, then turned back. "One more thing. Thank you. For taking care of my sons when I didn't. For being the parent they deserved. For showing them what real love looks like. Thank you." I didn't respond, just watched him walk away. Back to his lonely table, back to his lonely life. And I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no residual love. Just nothing. He was a stranger now. Someone I used to know. Someone who used to matter, but not anymore. Sarah got married 2 years later. Smaller wedding, backyard ceremony at my house. She asked all 4 of her siblings to be in the wedding party. Asked me to walk her down the aisle since she didn't want Gerald to have that honor. "You've been more of a parent to me than anyone," she said. "You showed me what strength looks like, what integrity looks like, what it means to choose love over bitterness. That's who I want, walking me down the aisle," I cried. Obviously, ugly cried. Pride and love and gratitude all mixed together. I walked my daughter down the aisle in my own backyard, surrounded by the family we'd built from ashes. Gerald wasn't even invited this time. Sarah had decided she didn't need him there. Didn't owe him that. Carlos and Miguel both became engineers. Good jobs, stable lives. They still came to family dinners every week. Still called me Mom, though it had taken them a while to feel comfortable with that. Still considered Daniel and Sarah their siblings without any qualifiers. And slowly, carefully, they started dating. Bringing girlfriends to family dinners, introducing them to me, asking my opinion. One day, Carlos called me in a panic. "Mom, I'm going to propose to Jen, but I'm nervous. What if she says no? What if I mess it up? Mom," he'd called me Mom, casually, naturally, like it was the most normal thing in the world. My heart swelled. "She'll say yes. She loves you. Anyone can. See that. And even if you mess up the proposal, she'll still say yes. Because it's not about the perfect words or the perfect moment. It's about you asking her to build a life together." He proposed. She said yes. The wedding was a year later. Beautiful celebration. Jen had become part of our family seamlessly, loved Carlos, accepted our complicated history, embraced all of us, including me. At the reception, Carlos pulled me aside. "I want to do something. If it's okay with you, I want to make a toast. About Mom, both of my moms." He stood up, clinked his glass. The room went quiet. "I want to talk about mothers. I had 2. Maria, who gave birth to me, who raised me, who loved me unconditionally even when life was hard, who worked 2 jobs to keep a roof over our heads, who taught me what strength looks like. She died 5 years ago, and I miss her every day." He paused, emotions catching in his throat. "But I also have Diane, who didn't give birth to me, who didn't raise me, who had every reason to hate me when we met, but who chose to love me anyway, who opened her home when my mom was dying, who became a mother to me when I lost mine, who showed me what grace looks like, what forgiveness looks like, what family really means. He looked at me, tears streaming down his face. Mom, thank you. For everything. For choosing us when you didn't have to. For loving us when it would have been easier not to. For proving that family is about more than blood. It's about showing up. It's about choosing love. Every single day. I love you. I was sobbing. Everyone was sobbing. Jen was sobbing. Miguel came over and hugged us both. Then Daniel and Sarah joined in. One big group hug in the middle of a wedding reception. Our beautiful, messy, chosen family. That's when I knew I'd made the right choice. That night 5 years ago when Gerald brought his secret family to my birthday dinner, I could have exploded. Could have kicked everyone out. Could have burned it all down. And no one would have blamed me. But I'd chosen differently. And that choice had led to this. To Carlos calling me mom. To having 5 children instead of 2. To a family built on honesty and choice instead of obligation and lies. To a life richer and fuller than I ever imagined. Now, 7 years after that birthday, I'm 67 years old. The house is paid off. I have 9 grandchildren. Daniel has 3 kids. Sarah has 2. Carlos has 1 with another on the way. Miguel is expecting twins. My quiet life has become loud and chaotic and full of sticky hands and toy trucks and princess dresses and laughter. So much laughter. Gerald reached out last year, sent a letter, asked if we could have coffee, said he was dying. Cancer. Ironic, considering that's what brought us all together in the first place. Maria's cancer that led to the revelation that destroyed Gerald's life. I debated for a long time whether to respond, whether I owed him anything, whether I even cared that he was sick. I asked the kids what they thought. It's your choice, Mom, Daniel said. We won't judge you either way. Miguel was more blunt. He doesn't deserve your time. He doesn't deserve anything from you. Carlos was thoughtful. Mom always said we should forgive. That holding on to anger only hurts us. Maybe this is your chance to let it go completely. Sarah just hugged me. Do whatever feels right. In the end, I met him for coffee. 1 hour. Public place. Clear boundaries. He looked terrible. Thin. Gray. The cancer was eating him alive just like it had eaten Maria. Thank you for coming, he said. I know I don't deserve it. You don't. I'm dying. They give me maybe 6 months. I'm sorry. That must be frightening. It is. But I deserve it. Deserve to die alone after what I did to everyone. To you, to Maria, to the kids. I'm not here to absolve you, Gerald. I'm not here to make you feel better about your choices. I'm here because I wanted to look you in the eye one more time and tell you something important. He waited, looking scared, like I was about to unleash 7 years of rage. I forgive you. His face crumbled. What? I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, not because what you did was okay, but because I'm tired of carrying anger. I'm tired of letting your choices define my life. So I'm choosing to let it go. For me, not for you. Diane, I'm so sorry. For everything. For every lie. Every moment of betrayal. Every choice that hurt you and Maria and the kids. If I could go back and do it differently, I would. I know, but you can't. So all you can do is face it. Accept it. Learn from it. And die knowing that despite your worst choices, something good came from it. Carlos and Miguel are incredible men. Daniel and Sarah are thriving. We're all family now. That's your legacy. Not the lies, not the betrayal, but the family that came together in spite of you. We talked for another hour about the kids, about the grandchildren, about life and death and regret and redemption. And when we parted, I felt lighter, free. Not because I'd forgiven Gerald, but because I'd chosen to. Chosen peace over anger. Chosen to close that chapter on my own terms. Gerald died 4 months later. All 5 kids were there. Not for him, but for each other. To support each other, Through the loss of their father, complicated as he was, we held a small memorial, talked about the good parts. Because there were good parts, even if they were tangled up with the bad. And then we moved on, together, as a family, the family Gerald created through lies, but that we'd chosen to keep through love. Now, 8 years after my 60th birthday, I wake up every day grateful. Grateful for my children, all 5 of them. Grateful for my grandchildren. Grateful for the family I didn't ask for, but can't imagine living without. Grateful for the strength I found when my world fell apart. Grateful for choosing grace over bitterness. People still ask me how I did it. How I survived discovering my husband's 30-year lie. How I managed to embrace his secret children. How I'm not angry and bitter and broken. And I tell them the truth. I survived by choosing to. I embraced Carlos and Miguel because they were innocent victims too. And I'm not bitter because bitterness would have stolen more from me than Gerald ever did. I tell them that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the catalyst for the best thing. That sometimes betrayal leads to bigger blessings. That sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the one you're born into. I tell them that on my 60th birthday, my husband brought his secret family to our home. And yes, I smiled. Because even in that moment of devastation, I somehow knew this wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. The beginning of something real, something honest, something beautiful. And I was right. 8 years later, surrounded by my children and grandchildren, living in a house full of love and laughter and sticky fingerprints, I can honestly say Gerald's betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because I wanted it, not because it didn't hurt, but because it forced me to become someone stronger, someone braver, someone who chose love when hate would have been easier, someone who built bridges when burning them would have been justified. That's who I am now, not Gerald's victim, not his ex-wife, not the woman who got betrayed, but Diane, mother to 5, grandmother to 9, builder of families, chooser of grace. Living proof that sometimes the thing that breaks you is exactly what you needed to become whole. So when people ask if I regret anything, if I wish it had gone differently, I tell them no, not anymore. Because this life, this messy, complicated, beautiful life, full of children who call me mom and grandchildren, who pile on my lap and family dinners that require 3 tables pushed together, this is worth everything. Even the pain, even the betrayal, even that terrible birthday dinner 8 years ago. All of it was worth it to get here, to this moment, to this family, to this life. And that's not something Gerald gave me. That's something I built, something we all built together. From ruins and lies and broken promises, we built something real, something lasting, something love. And that's the story of how my husband's worst betrayal became my greatest blessing. How a secret family became simply family. How lies became truth. How breaking became healing. How ending became beginning. How one smile on the worst night of my life became the first step toward the best years of my life. Subscribe for more stories like this.